All right, a little more news. Well, a lot more news, actually. One, Libyan brigade warns of inferno if U.S. intervenes. They're concerned about U.S. troops coming into Libya again. So you can often learn a bit about what uh, your country might be up to if you see what their enemies think you're going to do. So maybe the U.S. is actually planning on having a presence there. They like to have troops everywhere. Next, you'll remember the U.S. embassy attack in Khartoum in Sudan. Uh, and then Sudan rejected the marine deployment request. The U.S. requested to put troops into Sudan to protect their embassy. They like to have troops places. Uh, and Sudan said no, so the U.S. Evacuated uh, important persons from the embassy, okay, and from Sudan. Then, shortly after that, Germany did the same thing, pulled their, shut down their embassy, I guess, and then Canada did as well. So there's three there, and of course the U.S. still wants troops in Khartoum. And what do you know? Sudanese rebels are appealing for U.S. aid. Malik Agar, the chairman of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement North, was in Washington D.C. last week, leading a delegation meeting with U.S. officials over the urgent need for humanitarian access in Sudan's Blue Nile and southern Kordofan states. And it would be wonderful if the lovers of humanitarian aid, Obama and the United States and America would come in and help the poor Sudanese victims, which I'm sure there are very many suffering people in Sudan. Don't get me wrong. Uh, uh, to get by over there and have all their necessities met, and perhaps even U.S. troops would be necessary, right? Who knows? That'd be convenient though, because that's what the U.S. wants in Khartoum. All right. Oh, that's just an interesting headline. I would like to hear what people think of it. If somebody is really up on how the national banks operate, but Egyptian premier to inaugurate National Bank of Egypt in Khartoum, in Sudan. And then there's a story about this. First Vice President Ali Osman Mohammed Taha and Egyptian Premier Hisham Jendel will inaugurate the Sudanese branch of the National Bank of Egypt of Africa Street tomorrow. The bank will focus on agricultural projects as it established Al Ali agricultural company to work on food security projects and so on. It's a short little story. You can look at that. You can pause and read if you want. And then a final headline that I think is interesting here. Egypt announces charges over the video. Of course, the video that caused all this uproar, supposedly. Uh, Egypt's general prosecutor issued arrest warrants Tuesday for 7 Egyptian Coptic Christians and a Florida-based American pastor, and referred them to trial on charges linked to an anti-Islam video that has sparked riots across the Muslim world. Of course, it's largely symbolic since the 7 men and 1 woman are believed to be outside of Egypt and unlikely to travel to the country to face the charges. Probably especially since down here somewhere it said that they could face the death penalty if they go there. Okay. Uh, well, you can look at the story. There's the link. It's a Wall Street Journal story. Okay, so there you have it. There's some updates. We're seeing the anti-Christian hostility. We're seeing activity that all is indicative of a desire for the U.S. to have troops in Libya and Sudan, and there you have it. Okay, so all right, take care. And I should add one more thing. This is going to be the southern front, I think. I strongly suspect, at least, and think almost certainly is the case. But we'll have to watch and see, wait and see. You never know. I think well, what Scripture teaches, not that I don't think this, is that this war will have two fronts, final war, and the initial front will be a southern front with Libya, Kush, which is the peoples just south of Egypt, southern Egypt, Sudan, maybe Ethiopia, maybe even Somalia, that region. Okay, Kush and Egypt are involved in this, and they're defeated. It seems like pretty easily in the passage, but it's the northern front of the war which seems to follow this up. That is the one that proves the difficulty and the really awful catastrophe. In fact, let me just pull up that passage so you can see it. Okay, so here it is in Daniel 11:40. At the time of the end, shall the king of the south, Egypt, push at him, moving north in a aggressive action against the anti-Christian allies. The northern pushes towards Israel. You read the chapter, that seems to be the context of this, what's suggested there. And the king of the north, this will be your anti-Christian desolator, which I suspect is NATO, Obama and NATO. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots and with horsemen with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land. This is all things that we should expect to see, I think. The ships are already on their way to Libya, right? Some of them. And many countries shall be overthrown. And the rest are all over there in the Strait of Hormuz. And many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. Let's see. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans, and this translation says Ethiopians. The actual better translation will say Cushites. Let me see if I can pull one up for you just so you can see it. And the Cushites, this is the English Standard Version, just does a better job with this. And the Cushites shall follow in his train. But news, so this is this is the southern front. He gets them. There's no problem. Grabs them up. But news from the east and from the north. So east and north. Now think Iran, China, Russia, these countries. But news from the east and the north shall alarm him. So something will happen in response eventually in this war from those regions, somewhere out there, probably China and Russia, and more particularly. And he shall go out and with great fury. This desolator ruler, think Obama, I think. He shall go out with great fury to destroy and devote many to destruction. That's the retaliatory strike in response to the bad news he gets from the east and the north. And he shall pitch his palatial tents between the sea and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Okay, so he's destroyed through this final catastrophe here. But he goes out with great fury to destroy and devote many to destruction. So we'll have to see how that pans out and how exactly this happens. But either way, just what we're watching is the initial move up here is the southern front, which is in particular looks like it's Egypt, Libya, and the people south of Egypt, the Cushites, which, like I've talked about before, Sudan, Ethiopia, maybe, and even Somalia, southern Egypt, that region. They're the ones that start the whole thing. They're involved in it initially, and they're going to be taken pretty easily, and then the problems come from the north and the east. All right, take care.